Hey, Facebook Nation, Tracy here. As some of you guys know, Dave and I are super blessed to be part of Tony Robbins' Platinum Partnership. And we just finished up Wealth Mastery this past weekend. And one of Tony's most famous sayings, of course, is proximity is power. And I signed up for one of his new courses called the Knowledge Broker Blueprint. And it's an absolutely fascinating course. Anyway, more on that later. But today, Tony was talking about, of course, the power of proximity, and I thought about in my own life how important proximity has been, how it's been probably the biggest game changer of anything else that's ever happened in my world. And it got me thinking about where I really began to learn that concept. And of course, I was a school teacher, so my proximity was children. Anyway, I'm very grateful for that experience and very grateful to no longer be in that industry. Met some amazing kids, but it just wasn't the right fit for me. So when I went into real estate, it was a real culture shock in every possible sense of the word. But I read the book. Tom Hopkins, How to Master the Art of Listing and Selling Real Estate. Now it's just called How to Master the Art of Selling Real Estate. And he actually became this incredible mentor to me, Mr. Tom Hopkins. And I memorized that book backwards and forwards. And he taught a for sale by owner system. And then the first person I met in real estate, who went on to be my husband and wonderful business partner for many years, Jeff Smith. And he became an incredible mentor to me. And he had worked for sale by owners for many years and taught me that system, taught me the script. I recorded it on Super Bowl Sunday on a cassette tape. Who here can remember cassette tapes? And listened to it over and over and over and over again. And so I learned the power of a role model immediately in real estate. And after 2 years in being in the industry, we did really well. We opened up our own Century 21 franchise, lost a lot of money. Boy, howdy, was that a terrible. You know, there's a reason we're called brokers. It's because we're always a broker than our agents are. However, nevertheless, Jeff had a listing in the Dominion, and this was early 2000 or mid 2000, 2001 actually, I believe. Yeah, 2001. He had a listing in the Dominion and said, "You want to go take a look at it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And well, at the time we were looking for a new home, and he was like, "Well, do you want to look at houses while we're there?" And I'm like, "No, I don't want to live in the Dominion." And he said, "Why not?" And I said, "Well, because they're all snobs and they're going to look down on me because I was raised poor, and I'm just now starting to make money, and I have to get up and go to work every day and all these excuses." And he said, "No, that's not how it would be." He said, "There's going to be people in the Dominion just like there are people everywhere else." And I said, "Okay, well, we'll look." So we looked at a couple of houses and nothing really rang my bell. And then we pulled up to 6 Turin Court. And I looked in the window, and through the window I could see a swimming pool. And I'm like, "This is our house." And there was a waterfall. And he's like, "Well, let's look at it first." And so we walk in the door, and he's like, and I'm like, "This is our house. This is our house." And he was like, "Well, why don't we at least look at the master bedroom and the kitchen?" And I said, "No, make an offer, full price. I want this house, please, please, please." And Jeff made an offer, and we bought that home. He did a great job. Really was incredible. And we moved into that home, and I very quickly understood the power of proximity. So my first week or two in real estate, somebody in our office had a ticket to a builder event, a builder luncheon, an appreciation luncheon at the Dominion, and that realtor couldn't go. And he said, "Well, do you want my ticket?" I'm like, "Lunch at the Dominion? Are you kidding?" And so it probably started at noon, and typical Tracy, I'm there at 11:15, and I'm walking around, and the Dominion Country Club has this beautiful library area, and in it there's of the books of all the Dominion Women's Forum years. And I remember looking at that book and all the activities that these ladies had done, and the speakers that had come in, and the river barge cruises that they had done on the San Antonio River at Christmas time. And I remember believing that those were the luckiest, most blessed women in the world, and that one day I was going to be one of them. And then all of a sudden I was a Dominion homeowner. And the first time that I went to the Dominion Women's Forum luncheon, I walked in, and I didn't know anybody. And I walked through the luncheon, and everybody's standing there talking, beforehand, and I didn't know anybody. And I felt so completely intimidated, like I didn't belong, that I left before the luncheon even started. And I didn't go back for the rest of that year. It wasn't until the next year, where I had met a couple of girlfriends, and I said, "Well, can I sit with you guys?" That everything really changed. And I was very blessed to eventually become the president of the Dominion Women's Forum, and that organization was one of the most positive, beautiful experiences of my entire life, and I'm so grateful for that wonderful experience because it taught me the power of proximity. Anyway, I always tell people when they get into real estate that one of the best things that you can do is when you become more successful, as soon as you can afford to move into a better subdivision, to do that because of the power of proximity. And just one more quick story. Again, I was working the for sale by owner market, and there was a house in the Dominion that was listed for sale by owner, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that was very unusual. So I called the homeowner, and come to find out it was Joe Mangione, who owned number 2 Admiral's Way. There were only 2 homes on Admiral's Way, which was a double gated area in the Dominion, and one of those homes belonged to a gentleman you may have heard of, David Robinson, the Admiral, and the other one belonged to Joe Mangione, who was the real estate titan of San Antonio. That was kind of his nickname. And when I called call that for sale by owner, I didn't make any judgments. I was like, you know what, I'm going to call him. I'm going to have a conversation with him. I'm going to list that house. And he picked up the phone and had the warmest and kindest and most beautiful, loving, wonderful, powerful voice. Just this voice of calm and prosperity, for lack of any other word. And I gave him my little spill, and I told him I lived in the Dominion. And because I lived in the Dominion, he said, yeah, you can come and preview the house. And not only did I preview it, but I listed it, and Joe became one of the most important mentors of my life. He really taught me so much about the power of manifesting and the power of thinking. And he gave me a list of books to read. He had a huge library, and Joe became a really powerful mentor and later business partner with me. And I was just blessed beyond measure to have this man come into my life. But I don't know that relationship and that friendship and that mentorship would have started if I hadn't been able to say, yes, I live in the Dominion. So that proximity gave me the confidence to pick up the phone and call him, and gave him the comfort level to say, yeah, go ahead and come and take a look at the property. Anyway, proximity is power. And I just want to reinforce that, and to thank my mentor, Tony Robbins, for first introducing me to that concept in his book, Awaken the Giant Within. So anyway, I'll tell that story on another day. Anyway, happy Wednesday to everybody. Today, Grace Walker, who I met at the Dominion Country Club, we were golfing buddies, and she became one of my business partners, one of the first people to join EXP. I'm sure we'll talk about that today. And proximity is power. That's how I met her. And we are playing today in the member guest here at beautiful Hammock Beach. What a huge honor to be a part of this wonderful golf tournament and to have such wonderful friends. So anyway, Tracy Lewis here. Proximity is power. Thank you guys. I'm so honored and blessed to be a part of this beautiful Facebook community. Much love. See you soon.